Hello, learners. How are you doing? Good. Okay. So, this is a new chapter from your Footprints Without Feet. That is your sixth chapter, The Making of the Scientist, written by Robert W. Peterson. I'm just going to give you a brief background of the of the author first, and then we will go into the lesson, right? Okay, so it has been written by Robert W. Peterson from Pennsylvania, and he was an American newspaper writer, and later, he became a freelance writer of magazine articles and books, especially on what? On the topics of sports and scouting. Okay, so this is just a brief description I have given you. So let's directly go into the lesson. Okay, this story is about Richard H. E. Bright, who grew up in a town of Reading in Pennsylvania, that is USA. As he did not have much to do there, he was collecting things, and that was his hobby. He used to collect butterflies as a child. When he was a very small kid, he used to collect butterflies. So this hobby, has made this child so curious, and he became one of the greatest scientists of the world. Okay, and he has also received the Searle Scholar Award and the Shearing Plough Award for biochemistry and molecular biology. And he had a fascination for butterflies that opened the world of science for him. So this is how he is. Let's see how this boy became so curious in collecting butterflies and how he became a great scientist in future. Okay, so we're going to study about him. So let's begin with the lesson. Richard E. Bright, along with his roommate, they surprised the world at a very young age. When he was just 22, they explained the theory on how cells work, and that was published in the papers in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. Proceedings means it is a published report of a conference, you can say. So that was actually published in the newspaper. His theory on how cells work was published in the newspaper. And this valuable magazine also had published the work of college students for the first time, it seems. College students, they do something great, that is that doesn't come out on the papers, but this magazine and paper published their work, that is the college students' work. So for Richard E. Bright, it was one of the many achievements that he achieved in his life. He had achieved so many, and this is also one of his achievements, it seems. And all this, this achievement is due to that curiosity that started with butterflies. He is talking about butterflies, and all because of butterflies, this curiosity started. Okay. E. Bright, he grew up in Pennsylvania, and he was the only child for his parents. So he could have not done much. There was very less people living over there, it seems. So he says that he could only do one thing alone, that was collecting things. He had no friends, it seems, to play football or basketball. So what he did was, because he had nobody, he was all alone, he started to collect butterflies. So he began collecting butterflies, and then rocks, and then fossils. Fossils means the remains, or the the remains of plant and animals that is embedded in the rocks. So he started collecting fossils. You must have learnt all this in science, isn't it? And then he started collecting coins, it seems. From the time when he was a very young boy, when he was in the kindergarten only, he started all this. So he also used to keep on staring at the stars, and sometimes the whole night he was he was going on looking at the stars the whole night, and he was so interested in studying astronomy also. So not only in collecting butterflies, he had a liking towards astronomy. Astronomy means what is that? An astronomer. He wanted to become an astronomer. So astronomer is an expert in or student of astronomy, study of the stars, the sky. Okay, so all that comes under astronomy, isn't it? Yes, children. So I think you must have understood the first paragraph. Now let's go to the second. Now let's see to the role of his mother, how his mother guided him. So he used to collect butterflies, we saw, but how did his mother actually helped him or guided him? Okay, let's see to her guidance. He was, Ebright, had always been very curious to learn new things, and he was a very sharp-minded person also. So his mother always encouraged him to learn. And what she used to do is, she took him on learning trips and bought him telescopes, it seems, and other instruments that would help him in learning new things. His mother was his only friend until he went to school. Then after he started going to school, his mother would call all his friends home. His mother, he and the other boys, that is his friends together, they stayed together at night. And they used to do so many things and learn things together. And also Ebright was called Richard. Okay, he is also Richard. He is called Richard Ebright, right? So his mother nicknamed him as Richie. Richie was his name that his mother used to call. And she supported him, and he was the only support for his mother because his father died when he was in the 3rd grade. That was sad. So her only support was her son, that is Richie. Richie is, I am talking about Ebright. Okay. So they used to spend most of the evenings together because only he and his mother, right? And if he did not have anything to do, what his mother used to do is she would find him some task. She would give him some task for learning. He used to like that learning work that his mother used to give him. As he was, he wanted to learn more and more, isn't it? New things. So whatever his mother gave him, he liked those tasks. So he was a bright student also. He used to score very good in his class. And he used to do all his work very regular in his daily task he was. Okay, as his learning process was going on, he grew up to be a small boy. He came to his 2nd grade. By the time, when he had come to grade 2, he had collected almost 25 species of butterflies, it seems, that were found in his neighborhood near his place, in and around, okay, in his surroundings. So how many species? Around 25 species of butterflies he had collected. That was a very young age for him to collect, right? But he did it, and he gave a list of all these butterflies. And by the time he thought that it would have been the end of his butterfly collection, what happened was there was a sudden turning point. His mother bought him a children's book, and that book was called The Travels of Monarch X. So let's see. Now the actual story begins. Okay. So we're going to see what happened after this book came to his hand, or after he read the book. Let's see what happened. Okay. Yes. This was his early childhood interest, children. So let's continue. Yes, now the book told how the monarch butterflies migrated to Central America. This was the turning point I told you, for Ebright. it turned his curiosity actually towards science. So at the end of this children's book, after he reading the book, the readers of this book were invited to help the study of butterfly migration. And this book was written by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart. So he is from the University of Toronto in Canada. Okay. So what he has asked to do is, whoever reads this book, they were actually invited to help the study of butterfly migrations, and also he wanted them to tag the butterflies. So the butterflies tagging means something attached to the butterflies, so that he will know that these butterflies are being watched by somebody. So whoever is interested in this butterfly study of butterfly, he asked them to tag them. So what Richie's mother did was, she wrote to the doctor, and soon Richie was also interested. So he was attaching adhesive tags. Adhesive means able to stick fast, glue you can say. So he was attaching these tags to the wings of the butterflies. The person who would find a butterfly with a tag was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. So this is the invitation that this doctor actually gave to the readers of this book. Okay, so whoever reads this book, they were invited to help him in the study of this butterfly migration, and also tag the butterflies and send it to him. So let's see how successful Richie was. Okay, yes. This was actually about one kind of a butterfly, that is the monarch butterfly he is talking about. Okay, yes children, let's see. The butterfly collecting season lasted for around only 6 weeks, it seems. That was around 1.5 weeks. Then Ebright understood that if he keeps collecting butterflies one by one, it will not be, he would not be able to collect many. So what he did was, he decided to do something else. That was, he wanted to raise a flock of butterflies. Flock means many butterflies he wanted to. Okay, a number of birds of one kind, traveling together, being together, flying together, that is called a flock. So he wanted to make many butterflies in his basement. Basement is below his house, maybe a car park also you can say. So what he did was, he used to catch a female butterfly, collected its wings, and he started to raise them in his basement through their proper life cycles. Life cycle means what? The series of changes in the life of an organism, including reproduction. So the life cycle went on of the butterflies. Then what he used to do is, he tagged the wings of the butterflies and would let them go. There were thousands of monarchs in his basement, it seems. They were in different life stages, and for many years he started doing this. And as he was doing, this process was very monotonous. This tagging and then sending it. So this was very monotonous. Monotonous means the same thing happening. So he slowly started losing interest, and it was a tiring process. He became it was very tedious. Tedious means very tiring it was. So what he did was, it also didn't give him much response. He said that out of many butterflies that he tagged, only 2 were recaptured by people, it seems. And those 2 were also not very far. They just were recaptured by people just 75 miles away from where he lived. So he totally lost interest. So let's see what he did later. Now he comes to his 7th grade. Only now he knows what real science was. That was, when he lost at a county science fair. County means that region, there was a science fair being conducted, an exhibition you can say. and there he participated, and what happened was he lost, and it was a very sad feeling that he had, because he saw the other people win, right? Why he lost was he only showed frog tissue slides under a microscope, it seems. Only then he realized that the winners, what they did was they actually tried to perform an experiment. But his project was just a display, a neat display. So he started developing a very healthy competitive spirit from inside. Okay. Now he decided that he would not be making the same mistake the next year, but he wanted to make a real project so that he will win at least the next year. He thought, and he realized he had maximum knowledge about the subject of insects, as he was been studying them for quite some time, isn't it? He's been working with insects only for a very long time, from his kindergarten, you remember? Yes. So what he did was he wrote to Dr. Urquhart. Urquhart is, I told you, the person before we saw. Yes. So Dr. Frederick, he writes to him, he writes a letter for some ideas for his next year's project, or an experiment, you can say. And what did this doctor do? Dr. Urquhart, he sent back a lot of ideas for him. So he was very busy. He remained busy with all those ideas throughout his high school, and he won many prizes. So this is how he started to achieve in his life. Next is his 8th grade. So he tried to find the cause of a viral disease that killed nearly all the monarch caterpillars every few years. This caterpillars are the second stage of the butterfly, that is the life cycle of a butterfly. First is the eggs, and then the caterpillars, and then pupa and the adult, isn't it? So this monarch caterpillars, mostly this viral disease actually killed the monarch caterpillars, it seems. So Ebright thought that the disease was being transmitted through what? Through the beetles. Can you see the picture of the beetle? What he did was, so he started raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. See, something or the other he kept doing. All this curiosity only brought him to be a scientist. So it was of no use, but when he showed that he had tried such an experiment, he won something for his project. So whatever experiment he did, all that was shown in the fair. So something for whatever he did, he won. Okay. Now there was another new entry, entry of another new species, that is a viceroy butterfly, it seems. All this while we were talking about monarch butterflies, right? Now comes a viceroy butterfly, and he put forward the theory that the viceroy butterflies look like monarchs. Why do they look like monarch? Why do they have to copy the monarchs? It's because the birds, they eat these butterflies, and they prefer what? They prefer viceroy butterflies than the monarchs, because monarchs don't actually taste good, it seems. But the viceroys are good, the viceroys taste good for them. So they prefer the viceroys. And these viceroy butterflies, to protect themselves or to save themselves from these birds, as they look like the monarchs, they try to copy the monarchs so that the birds will not eat them. Okay. So this he actually researched on this, and he showed that the viceroys copied the monarchs. So this project won him the first division in the zoology department and the third overall position in the county science fair. County means what? That region, a region. County means region, science fair. So he started to win more prizes. That is what is given. Why? Viceroys copied the monarchs. I think you understood this, right? During his second year of high school, Richard started a research. and that was about an unknown insect hormone that later helped him in his new theory about the life of cells. Now, this is a new theory about the life of cells. There was a question which arose, very simple it was. The question was, what was the purpose of 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? Pupa is the third stage of the butterfly, right? So, there were 12 tiny gold spots on it. So, that was the question. Why is that? But many people, they told that the spots were made just to make the butterfly look beautiful. But Dr. Urquhart did not believe in the others. He wanted an answer. So the answer was found out by whom? By a Bright. And an excellent another science student also. Together they made a device, it seems, to prove that these spots, they produced a hormone actually. A hormone, you must have known about a hormone. Hormone is a chemical substance produced in the body that controls the activity of certain cells, isn't it? So these spots, they produce a hormone, it seems, that is necessary for the full development of a butterfly from a pupa. See? So with this, when he found out, when he gave an answer to this question, Ebright won the first prize at the county science fair. So he was going on trying, and also he got an entry to the International Science and Engineering Fair. See, all these were his achievements, isn't it? Yes. Let's see to the further achievements, children. See, this project that he did on the 12 spots, right, the gold spots, that won the third prize for zoology. He also got a chance to work at the entomology laboratory. That entomology means it is the study of insects. Okay, and that laboratory is of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, and then he continued his work with the monarch pupa, and then that led him to win the first prize at the International Science Fair. After winning this prize, he also got a chance to work at the Army laboratory during summers, it seems. And then he comes to his senior year, that is in the college. He tried another experiment. That experiment, what he did was, he grew cells. The cells were cells from a monarch wing was taken, and he grew that cells in a culture. Culture is a sample, you can say a medium which is used to grow the cells. And he showed that the cells would divide and develop into a normal butterfly wing scales, provided that they were treated with the hormone from the gold spots. He wanted to prove that these gold spots are responsible. It secretes a hormone, and that is responsible for what? For growing of the butterfly from the pupa, isn't it? So he proved that. And this research won the first prize for the international fair. And then he spent his summer after graduation doing more research on the subject. And all this was done at the Army laboratory and the laboratory of US Department of Agriculture. So all these laboratories gave him a chance to work on. So he did all his experiments there. Then he worked some more on the hormone that was released from the gold spots during the summers at the laboratory of the agricultural department. And then he identified the chemical structure of the hormone using the lab's special equipment. Okay. After 1.5 years, Ebright got the idea for his new theory. Which one? That is about the cell life. Now he is totally come to a different place, from butterfly to the spots, from hormone, and now he is come to the cell life. Okay. Now the idea came to him when he was looking at the X-ray photos of the chemical structure of the hormone. So he was looking at the X-ray photos, and there that was the chemical structure of the hormone. I told you what a hormone is, isn't it? So when he was looking at that, he got an idea. He did not get much excited about his discovery. Discovery is about his finding. As soon as he found out, but he came to a realization that whatever he studied all these years, on the insect hormone, that has solved one of the puzzles of biology for him, it seems. And what is that puzzle is, it had solved the mystery of how cells read the blueprint of its DNA. So cells DNA is the blueprint of life. Through the DNA, he found that as the DNA is in the nucleus of a cell, you must have seen the picture of a cell, right? Cell structure you must have studied, and there is a nucleus in the center, and that controls the heredity, isn't it? Therefore, it determines the form and function of a cell. That is the DNA is hence the DNA is the blueprint of life. See, so many things he has learnt, and he has found out, so many things he has discovered. Then what he did was, Ebright and his roommate, so with his friends he does all this, made drawings and plastic models for the theory which showed how it was possible, and later what they did was they wrote a paper which explained the process of this cell division. Okay, and then it did not surprise the people who knew him that he graduated from Harvard with highest honors and stood second in his class among 1510 students. He was a very clever student, very bright student also, isn't it? And then he became a graduate student, researcher at the Harvard University only, and also started doing practical experiments to test his theory. It was expected that if the theory proved to be correct, then it would be a big step towards understanding the very difficult system of life, and also it would lead to new ideas for preventing certain types of cancer and other diseases also. So he was working on this, researching on all this cells, okay, and then he was trying to get new ideas for preventing certain types of cancer and other diseases also. So this showed how his research on the monarch pupa led him to the theory about cell life. He was very keen in science from when he started collecting butterflies. But this did not keep him away from other interest in life. He not only was towards science, he was he also was involved in other activities. That is, he was a champion debater, it seems. He debates so very well, he was a champion. And then a great public speaker, and he was a good boat racer, that is a canoeist, you can say. He was a boat racer. He was also an all-rounder, outdoor sports person. He was a good expert photographer, and then he was great at capturing nature and scientific subjects. He was a great student. He always scored very good. He used to focus his extra energy on debating. Okay. He also used to admire his social studies teacher. He liked his social studies teacher, an advisor to both clubs, and he was Mr. Richard. Okay. Ebright thought that his teacher was the right man, and he was the one who used to open his mind to new ideas. The social studies teacher actually helped him in many ways. So his teacher was impressed with the fact that how Ebright would give an extra 3 to 4 hours of effort at night for the debate research, apart from the time that he used to give to his butterfly research and his other interests. See, he was interested in debate also, isn't it? So that he worked on, he gave 2 to 3 hours in the nights, it seems. So much of effort and hard work he has put. That's why he has achieved so much, and now he has become a scientist. He added that he was very competitive, but not in a very bad sense. He had a very healthy competition in him. Because he did not win prizes, he did not hate the others, but he took it in a very good sense, isn't it? So this is what makes a good scientist. He needs a first rated mind, actually, a very good mind, along with the curiosity and an added will to win for the right reasons. You have to have a will not to win the wrong things, but to win the right things, isn't it? Since the time Richard's mother got him the book about migration of monarchs, his curiosity towards science had just grown. So when he started, when did his curiosity actually began? It was when he read the book on the, what was that book? The book was The Travel of Monarch X, isn't it? Yes. So this was a nice lesson, I think. This is how he became a scientist, and I have given the word meanings. You can read it and understand. Thank you very much, children. The word meanings are former, scout, proceedings, journal. Okay? Making the big leagues, fossils, and then curiosity, encouraged. Equipment, species, monarch butterflies, collector. Migrations, adhesive, flock, and life cycle. TDS, county, subject, stack, viral. Starling, starling, zoology, and then comes, what are the others? Research, isn't it? Harmon, assumed, ornamental, sophisticated, blueprint. Nucleus, heredity, roommate. Researcher, debater, canoeist, and then comes exhibits. And the last 3 are admire, competitive, ingredients. See, these are actually read for you for the sake of pronunciation. Okay, thank you very much, children.